Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Economic Development and Employment Committee meeting. The meeting is called to order and recording may begin. Let's see now. For public access and archiving, this meeting has been recorded in accordance with the New York State Open Meeting Law. It is a practice of CB2 to conduct remote meetings with all committee members' cameras on. Public attendees are also encouraged to leave their cameras on, particularly if you're given the floor to speak. All attendees, please keep your microphone muted when you're not speaking. To maintain appropriate discussion and voting process, I will make it known when and which topics are open for comment by committee members, then board members at large, and the general public. If you have questions that fall outside the public comment time, please type your questions in the chat panel and we will address them as time permits. You may also email the district office at any time outside of these meetings. We are committed to providing access to all of our neighbors, regardless of physical ability or limitations. If you require accommodation or assistance for full participation, please contact the district office 72 hours before any public meeting. The committee secretary will now conduct roll call. Members should speak their name with their camera on. Ms. Gilman?
Hi, everybody. So good to see you. Here we go, our first roll call for our September meeting. We'll start with Chair Bill Flanoy.
Yes, I am here.
Perfect. Vice Chair Denise Peterson. Catherine Gelman, that's myself. Latrell Mosa. Latrell, I see you on here.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, how you doing? Oleg Geyser. Oleg, I see your phone dialed in here. Lindsay Einhorn.
Here.
Hey, Lindsay. Kate Yearwood Young, plus little one.
Plus Lionel here.
Maisha Morales.
Here.
So,
good evening, everyone. Here.
So good to see you. Clenita Medley. Celeste Staton. Jessica Krejcki.
She's no longer a committee member.
No longer committee. Got it. I will note. Ronald Cohen. I see Ron dialed in. And that is our full list.
Okay, also put down Cyril.
And
Scott.
we have, yeah, so good to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Okay, I see you're driving, so we will not worry about taking minutes.
No, don't worry. I'm a passenger on my laptop and I will be out of the car shortly.
Okay, fair enough.
Taking minutes as we speak.
Thank you for that commitment. That is true commitment. Thank you, Kate.
Guys, we're a committee wherever we are, on the go, in the room.
Okay, excellent. So welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone had a safe and enjoyable vacation over the summer. Right now, I kept the agenda light because I wasn't sure exactly when or if we were going to meet or how we were going to meet because of the holidays and also because of the public hearing initially we were told we were going to do it in public, but then it was changed back to online on the Zoom meetings. So the agenda is very simple. I'm going to go over the agenda right now very quickly, and then we'll decide from there approval of the agenda. Okay, today we're going to do basically approval of the minutes, and the committee will then go over the FY23 Statement of District Needs and Budget Requests. We'll then do a chairperson's report, other committee business, community forum, and then adjourn. May I have a motion to accept? Okay, Ms. Yearwood Young, second, Ms. Gilman. All in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay, hearing none, the agenda is approved. Okay, may I have an approval of the minutes from last, hopefully everyone had a chance to go over those minutes. May I have approval of those minutes from I believe, June? Motion to accept? Okay, thank you, Ms. Cohen. I assume there's no corrections. If there's no corrections, by ascension, we'll accept those committee minutes. Okay, Ms. Gilman, once again, thank you very much. Those minutes were very good. I appreciate that.
My pleasure, guys.
Okay, so let's get started here. Okay, so right now we're looking at the FYI. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm going to read off my computer itself. If Taya, I'm not sure if you really want to or not actually show that also. Okay, but that's up to you. Okay, but I'm going to be reading them off my computer. Okay, thank you, Taya. Okay, so what we're looking at right now, district statement of needs. Sure, sorry, Taya. Sorry about that.
Oh, I'm just showing this to sort of level set where we are in the timeline. Just a reminder that there are 2 remaining dates of agency consultations. And I don't know the schedule by heart, but you'll want to check those because board members are welcome to come in and out of those as your work or personal schedule allows. The sessions each are between 30 and 45 minutes, and it is the one time every year that every single agency in the city has to meet with the Brooklyn Community Boards. So it's a great observation opportunity, mostly because the questions were pre-submitted, but there are occasionally opportunities and invitations for additional discussion. And then flipping over to your particular tab, and then I'll shut up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry. Okay, actually, I'm having problems viewing my own. So, okay, thank you, perfect. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is currently the first item is some of the Fulton bid businesses were excluded, okay, from the city recovery program because the funding was tied to area median income, which is a insufficient measure, the zip codes. What I'm looking at basically is this item as far as AMI, I'm going to suggest that we continue with the current AMI until there's any type of addressing a modification of AMI to actually reflect the actual incomes of this district. To do otherwise would be complicating things, so I think we should continue to stick with things the way they are. Ms. Gilman.
And just one note, Bill, to add on to what you're saying, the chair has an AMI task force that is going to look into this in a way that probably is beyond what we can do as a committee. So I'm wondering if we just get an update from them when they've kind of drilled down a little bit further on it. But I know when we'd asked Taya about it, that she had said that Chair Singletary made a task force to look at this specifically so that we could understand how to approach it.
Yes, that is the case. Unfortunately, because of circumstances, that task force has not met as of yet. Okay, because that's basically land use that's handling that. I am on that task force, but it is land use that's leading it. Okay?
Understood.
I don't want to overstep my boundaries because, okay, that's not our committee. Okay, but as far as the items are concerned, once that is addressed, then we can actually take a look at these different situations here as far as the budgets are concerned and actual how we can actually then use them to actually to our benefit. Okay, Taya, I lost you. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, second, sorry. I have an incoming call here. Okay, second, ongoing COVID-related office tenant vacancies are hurting local retail and restaurant recovery. Okay. Kate, can you address this since this is your item?
Yes. So this was a needed item, obviously across the district and the city, thinking about the high rise in vacancy that's occurred and how we kind of approach that as a community board and what our goal is. We said the result we'd like to see is more flexibility in use and duration of retail leases, some incentives for landlords to negotiate, tangible support for small businesses, both existing and potential, with a priority on MWBE and locally owned and run businesses, and a strategy to make this into a concrete fundable proposal would be to develop Love Your Local COVID-19 recovery marketing campaign, to designate additional small business Saturday in 2021 as a part of that recovery program, to expand the commercial lease assistance program. And the likely collaborators are the Downtown Brooklyn Partnership, kind of top of list for this.
Okay. I do
And
agree
Lindsay
with
may
that.
have additional thoughts there as well, but
Yeah, one of the biggest problems if with tenant vacancies is, if people are leaving the neighborhood, it's going to be difficult to somehow find incentives to come back into the neighborhood if the rents aren't actually reduced. And that's be the biggest problem. Any other comments? Mr. Scala?
Kate, what impact, if you know, has the federal relief program paid on the businesses in our area? Any idea of, has it helped them? Have someone stayed in business because of that?
yeah, it seems neighborhood to neighborhood as far as pockets that have done better than others, even within Brooklyn. And then as a borough, Brooklyn's vacancy rates are lower than Lower Manhattan and other districts. I'll put a few numbers in here so we can all see them just while I'm pulling them up in terms of kind of percentage of small businesses that applied that actually achieved funding, just so we can get a more tangible sense. But I know it did have a big small business impact in our district.
One more question. Is that
Yeah.
over now? Is that relief fund over? Does anyone know that?
So we were looking at whether basically they've re-upped some of these funds, depending on the scale of the business, just because of what had happened first and second round with small businesses not having access. So I have a few feelers out with where it is right now, but I'll put that in this doc to see what is actually left of this. I know the issues like with the bid and businesses that were excluded, it completely matters whether those funds even exist as we try to lobby for changes in AMI and things like that. So let me add this into this doc.
Okay, so committee members, as a group, do we feel that this is something that we should continue to address with the SDNR?
Yes.
Okay, anyone who disapproves? Okay, so we'll continue this as an item. Okay. Next, okay. See, the ongoing COVID, local business and employees are on the forefront of expected to manage any situation that walks through the door. I believe Lindsay was addressing this one. We're on item number 5. Okay, thank you. Okay. Also, you're mentioning magnified all of the city's ongoing problems with homelessness, substance abuse, and mental health issues. Meanwhile, the city continues to lack appropriate response and falls short in providing alternatives to police interventions. Okay, Lindsay, I'm not sure if you're here or not, but I think this is definitely an issue. I am experiencing it myself in downtown Brooklyn. Lindsay, I see you're here. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, so Kate, also just a note, I realized after reviewing last year's document that each of the proposals have to be broken into a line item. Otherwise, they're going to say it's not specific enough. So like each fundable item has to be its own separate request.
So no multi-numbers within our proposal is column. We'll break those out as individual line items.
Exactly. So the way that it's broken into like 1, 2, 3, each one has to be a line item.
Okay, done.
Yeah, we'll do that after we decide which ones we're going to address.
First, okay.
Okay, Lindsay, go. Sorry.
Okay, so DHS has a homestat program for local businesses, and it's an alternative to calling 911. We can also expand that program as well as develop a marketing campaign with an escalation protocol so people understand the alternatives to calling 911. We can also provide additional funding to DHS to staff their street teams program to ensure that responses happen in a more timely manner. And therefore, due to long wait times, people won't resort to calling 911 when they've been left waiting for significant periods of time.
Now, Lindsay, is this an issue more along the lines of Hess?
Question. Right.
So I actually brought this line item to the HES meeting, and we discussed it at length. It is a joint proposal, I would propose, and they're aware of it. I would say that because it's an issue that affects local businesses and was brought to us by the bids, it is a business problem with a public health solution.
Okay, that I agree. It is a business issue, but it is a HES health-related recommendation. Okay, so as far as that's concerned, HES is aware of that.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. HES is aware of it, and because of that, I'm going to basically reach out to the chair of the HES committee and ask him if he needs us to help him with that at all. Okay, Ms. Peterson.
Just so you know, he and I had a meeting. We discussed the ones that are jointly related, as well as I provided them with some additional recommendations and helped them with their proposal this year. So he'll be fully aware once you touch base.
Perfect. Okay, I figured you did as much. Thank you, Lindsay. Okay, Ms. Peterson.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I concur with a lot of that. To me is a matter of the HES committee, and I understand the collaboration part of it. But I think it's more on the side of HES, so I kind of agree with that. There's and then alternatives to police intervention, and that's another aspect of it. Well, you know, it's all good, but I'm geared in my mind towards the economic development and employment committee aspect of it, and that is part of it, but it's not the fullness of it. And a lot of that I think would be over to HES. So yes.
Denise, can I just confirm, are you proposing that we move this from our committee to the HES committee, or you see it as a joint collaboration and you don't think it matters which committee votes on it for inclusion in the statement of need?
No, I think it
Lindsay,
matters. Everything that everybody has to say matters. I don't unmatter somebody else's ideas because there's a lot of matters in this entire city, in this entire borough. But I think, I don't know if I had to weigh it, it seems like there's more of the weight on the HES committee side than it is on the Economic Development and Employment Committee side. And so, you know, maybe through further discussion, that'll get weighed out, and you know, and or to come in the middle, and then you'll have your, you know, collaboration.
Yeah, Ms. Einhorn, I'm going to let HES take the lead on this. Okay, with our input. Okay, number 6. Okay, third-party food and retail delivery apps. Okay, fees are gouging local merchants. This was actually already taken care of. Okay, so this is not an item that we need to address right now. It's already been addressed. Okay, item number 7. Okay, food trucks regulations are unclear, poorly understood. Okay, again, this is an item that has already been addressed. Okay, so we do not have to take a look at
Bill.
this. Yes, Ms.
So the items that are listed as the problem, while the legislation did pass, the items in the proposal were not included in the legislation. So these are the items that were brought to us by the community last year that did not make it into the final legislation, even though they were included in proposals to the borough president as our objections to the legislation.
Understood. How do you think we should address that? Because is this a statement of district needs, or is this a different method in which to address this?
The line items listed in the proposal are fundable items to strengthen the legislation that was already passed last year.
Okay, so there is a means to address this using the SDNR.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. I also noticed that it's mentioned that this should be under the transportation and public safety.
As these are formal proposals to further regulate businesses, I would disagree with that, but I understand if you want to collaborate with transportation and discuss inclusion based on each line item.
You know, if I recall, I believe this actually came under our committee and we voted on it and moved it to the full board.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think since we were the ones who initially brought this up, I think we should continue carrying the ball.
I would also mention, due to the bids having brought the other proposal to us that we just discussed as bringing to Hess, if that's the standard under which we're evaluating, then the former proposal would also continue to fall under this committee.
But we didn't vote on that. That's the difference.
If you say so.
Okay, we will take a look at it. Okay, but this particular item, we actually did vote on this. Okay. Next,
Can I ask a question about the food truck regulation? So like I see this proposal has like several bullets. Would this all need to be broken up and then to submit as district, statement of needs? And if that's the case, do we want to prioritize a couple? Because you know what I'm saying? Like this is like, it looks like it's probably like 8 or 9 line items that'll end up.
They will be broken into individual line items and we'll have to decide which ones we would like to move forward. They cannot all be moved forward. These are just like a menu of options on how to address the problem.
So you just want to rather than, I guess, the people who put Kate and you put forward, you'd rather put them all to the committee when we prioritize.
Exactly.
Okay.
okay.
I'm a little confused. Are we saying that the Transportation and Public Safety Committee will take the lead on the food truck issue, or we're going to take the lead and they're going to co-join with them?
We're going to focus it from our point of view. If Transportation Public Safety wants to also address this, that's fine, but we're going to address it from our point of view.
Thank you.
Okay, next item. Teo? Okay, thank you. Okay, now we had some input, okay. Yes, thank you. I'm going to pull that down a little bit. Okay, from individuals who thought that this should be addressed also. Community communication, a newly created city cleanup corps from federal stimulus fund for 2021 to at $15 an hour. Okay, funding market. Okay, hang on a second. Now, this is something that was brought to our attention. How does the committee feel about addressing this? Any comments?
Apologies for the sirens in the background that prove that I do live in the district. Items or lines 9 through 13. I was not clear who wrote these or if these are simply notes. So maybe the author could speak up because I didn't want to delete them. But if nobody claims them, perhaps they are deletable.
Well,
Taya, I'm not sure if this is just a me problem, but we can't see the entire comment. I think you have to scroll to the right a little bit.
Can everyone see column F?
Yeah, we can see column F, but I think, okay. So what I'm looking at right now is community communications, newly created city cleanup corps from federal stimulus funds for 2021 at $15 an hour. Has this actually been created, the city cleanup corps? Does anyone know?
There is a city cleanup corps. It was that 10,000 jobs initiative. And various city agencies are participating in that. I'm not clear from these notes what the proposed problem statement is.
Okay, you know
Yeah,
what?
maybe we'll circle back to this couple and we'll keep going down. I'll sidebar on the ones that don't have the problem statement on that left side.
Yeah, I'm
And we
looking
can
at
pick
those
up
two.
with 14.
Yeah, because I'm looking at them also, and I don't know what we need to address.
So my only comment would be that the top one, it's an employment opportunity. And so if the problem statement is that it's not being well advertised as an employment opportunity, I think that's the one that I identify with the most as being a proposal we might be able to work with. So
what I
that the city clean.
What I suggest we do a sidebar on items 7 through 13.
Yeah, and perhaps maybe someone could just claim those. Otherwise, I think we could icebox them next meeting.
I'll go ahead. This is Kate. I'll go ahead and claim those, and I'll put problem columns filled in for each of those. We'll just pull them off the stock.
Okay.
Okay, that works. Okay, let's go down to the next item. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, local restaurants are being price grouped by third-party applications. Lindsay, could you give a little more detail on that, please?
Is this maybe a duplicate?
This was above, we just.
Okay.
Okay, local businesses are reporting lost business due to traffic issues at Flatbush Avenue and Pacific. Okay, recommended transportation committee takes this. Yes, I don't know how we would address that one. Okay, because that's actually transportation. And that has nothing to do with us, unfortunately, Kate. Okay, next item.
Bill, if you'd like me to address it, I will. Did John do it?
I know, John, transportation, public safety.
John, do.
Okay, unless you can tell how it applies to economic development and employment, we're going to pass
I'm
on.
just going to tell you that that's an issue that now the community board is really engrossed in to a much greater extent with the closure of one lane on the BQE cantilever. That has forced a lot of traffic into our district. And I don't know whether you're aware, yesterday we had the music awards at the Barclays Center. Well, traffic was at a standstill. There were so many folk down there, the traffic just didn't move. This is an overall problem in our district that, frankly, we're going to be asking DOT, at least I'm going to be asking at the next committee meeting, for DOT to assign a traffic monitor to our district with all the issues and problems and changes and construction that is happening downtown Brooklyn. There is no centralized way of knowing what's going on and the impacts that it has on businesses. I can tell you that I have spoken about how no trucks can get through, even emergency trucks, when the traffic is that tied up. So deliveries is part of food or whatever it is part of that whole traffic mitigation that we're hoping DOT can help us with. That's it.
John, as you know, we have said this from the very beginning, okay, when they first started doing work downtown. And we had said it's going to be a big issue, and it has become just that. So, you know, at this point in time, we're preaching to the choir, and unfortunately, what we predicted is actually occurring.
And I should also add, our traffic engineer that was assigned to the transportation committee permanently was removed. So we are having all kinds of issues, and we get very little response from DOT at this point.
Once again, Mr. Du, economic development, employment. Okay.
I hear you.
Okay. Next item. Okay, number 7. The coronavirus forced DHS to densify its shelters by providing congregate shelter and street homeless residents hotel rooms. Now, the federal reimbursement of the hotel program has ended, and DHS has transitioned the program back to congregate settings. The street homeless population has has risen, and there has been no program funded to transition individuals to more stable housing options. Okay, so what is the district level economic development issue? Okay, Lindsay, this is yours. I'm looking at
Hey,
what your
Bill,
state,
so the recommendation, I think, is that 7, 8, and 9 should probably go to land use.
land use?
Yeah, so especially number 9.
Number 9, I would give it to land use. Okay, city
No
assistance.
housing. Yeah,
Okay,
there's no,
the rental assistance, you're talking about residential,
correct.
okay? The homeless, I believe, should go to Hess, to be quite honest with you.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Okay, moving on, number 10. Unless anyone disagrees with that. Is there any comments, any disagreements?
I guess, Bill, this is Kate. My only thought, if we scroll up to the first of those 3 we were just looking at with shelters and permanent housing,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, Hess sounds right. I also wonder about this being a larger land use zoning issue. So to just flag that some of the programs and things that they're doing to transition different types of housing might have to pull land use into it to make those kind of decisions, to create different kinds of capacity in residences. So I'd be
Yes,
curious.
That would definitely be part of it, yes. Land use would definitely have to be a part of it because we were looking at also the possibility of using city-owned properties to do this also, so.
Exactly, yeah.
Can I say something, please?
Sure thing, Ms. Peterson.
So, okay, so the land use aspect. So where does land use start at? Land use starts at the point of, I guess, someone preparing to develop something, right? So there is where the conversations go in when you start talking about how much of it will be quote unquote affordable and what the income bands are and all of that for that. So I'm just trying to see how it falls in.
But this is
into
for the
land use.
homeless. This is for
I
the homeless.
understand that, but the homeless population, they're homeless. So it's so highly some of this and some of that. So the homeless issue is a big issue around a lot of things. But I'm just trying to see how it gets linked into land use based on how land use comes, how the land use committee comes into play when something is being structured or constructed, I should say, in the district. So the homelessness aspect of it comes into that conversation when, as it relates to land use.
Well, we're looking at it in the point of view as there are city-owned properties that are currently not being used, or there are city-owned properties that are being developed but haven't been accelerated. So I'm going to address those issues. Now, as far as affordable housing is concerned, that's another bucket. Okay, it's not necessarily with the homeless, okay, who are homeless for reasons outside of income.
Right.
Okay, for items inside of income, that's the AMI.
I get that. Yes. So I'm very little fuzzy on that. It drops into land use, where it could drop, but at land use, I just find that to be an interesting place that it drops there. Because sometimes there are questions asked at land use committee meetings, and then it says, well, that really is not for this committee. You know, when you start talking about, you know, can we put, you know, use some of that those vacancies for homelessness. So I'm just a little, I guess, need some clarification on that. So that's my comment.
Understood.
To Denise's point, I think it only goes to land use if we're proposing city property revitalization or the rezoning of a specific structure for this use. because the problem statement in and of itself does not fall within land use unless we have a specific solution that fits within land use. And at this point, I don't think we've really identified that.
I agree, Lizzie. Okay, and also there was a comment that was just put in by Taya, which I think also is something that we should also look at as far as addressing which committee. Okay, next item. I believe we're on item 10 now.
Apologies, Chair. I've been moving things around. We're on line 7.
Oh, line 7. Okay, thank you. Okay, number 7. Due to COVID-19, many businesses can no longer afford or no longer have the need for permanent office space. As more and more individuals and families flock to Brooklyn looking for lower rent and more space, it is time to reevaluate the way city supports small and new businesses. Okay, the result we'd like to see is a renewed businesses investment in downtown Brooklyn for CB2 to be a district where people not only can live, but also be able to work as well. Our proposal is to find a study on the building incubator and affordable work or research lab spaces. The program would provide an affordable workspace option. For new and experienced business owners, incubators allow small businesses to share resources as well as ideas and foster innovation and creativity. This program will also support businesses who need to restructure due to impacts from COVID-19. Okay. Lindsay, this is going to be a heavy lift here, but tell me how we can make it easier.
So I think one of the things that we often hear back from committees is that further research is needed on this. And so within the proposals, one of the things that we're proposing is to fund a study about the utility of this proposal, specifically in the downtown Brooklyn area. And so I think that the proposal is not just a singly focused on providing the space and funding it, but rather looking at how to plan for such a project, where it might be most useful, and how it would then be utilized or specifically designed to meet the needs of the district.
So you want to get in front of this then, as far as individuals move in, or is this something that you went to the proposal itself? Is that what you're looking for?
I'm sorry, can you restate the question? I'm not sure I understood.
You know what? I believe it was just put into the data. Which neighborhoods in our district have the most vacancy? Is it downtown Brooklyn? So what we're looking at basically, if we're going to look for locations, okay, to actually target, and then so once we target them, we then actually look to see how we can actually put this proposal into action.
It's not just about the properties, though. I would argue that it's also about the need for actually utilizing a space in this way. And so studying how businesses are restructuring after COVID, how many are giving up their leases and either looking for co-share workspaces or downsizing, and understanding how businesses are recovering from COVID-19.
A lot of moving pieces here, Lindsay.
None of the issues that we choose to tackle are easy, Bill, but that doesn't mean they're not worth tackling.
Oh, I understand. I'm just saying, a lot of work, but I agree with this one. Sorry, Mr. Scala.
Lindsay, I'm back, so I'm just I'm listening to everybody speak, but this fund a study, what do we mean by fund the study?
So I think we would be asking SBS to take on assessing how this proposal could be best utilized within the district.
And who do we go to for the money?
Well, all of the budget requests within this document would have to come from CTL.
Have they been forthcoming before?
Never within my tenure at this community board has a project in the statement of needs ever been funded based on our request.
Well, then it gives us more effort to keep on trying, doesn't it?
It truly does.
Well,
I think we've also discussed the need to be more proactive about following up with our elected officials on the high priority statement of needs, and really advocating on behalf of the prioritized.
So would you suggest us having some of these people come and speak to us?
Not only that, I'd suggest that we start a letter campaign on those items that truly matter to us and that we wish to prioritize. Because I think often we have to be proactive as well as reactive.
I'm very happy you said that. That's terrific. Just a question. I think we have to do more of what you're talking about.
I agree with you, Mr. Scala. Mr. Du, I see your hand raised.
Can I just make Mr. Flanoy a brief suggestion that you reach out to the Downtown Brooklyn Partnership? They tend to have a handle on what's happening with all the businesses in downtown Brooklyn.
Mr. Du, at one point we had all of the bids into our meeting and had a discussion with all the bids as far as what they considered their priorities. And the Downtown Brooklyn Partnership, I'm also on the board, so I will actually have the discussion with them too. But we'd actually had them invited in and gave a 5-minute presentation on their status as far as how COVID was impacting them.
And did they say anything else? Because that's primarily what the partnership is supposed to be working on for downtown Brooklyn.
At the time of the discussion, it was still relatively early, okay, and we hadn't seen, we were still, I think, about only 6 months in, I believe, or 9 months, and the impact wasn't as apparent as it is now. So we will readdress that accordingly.
Thank you.
No, thank you, John. Appreciate that. Okay, so I assume that the committee feels that this is an action item we should address. Anyone who disagrees? Okay, let's have that also considered as an action item to address. Okay, next item. Okay, I believe it's number 8 now. Okay, due to the COVID-19, the district has changed and to have the so has a economic violation needs. Due to these change, city agencies and community members have less understanding of community economic and housing needs. Okay, the result we should look to see is a better understanding of the commercial revitalization needs to strengthen and revitalize the streets, small businesses, and community-based organizations that anchor New York City neighborhoods. Our proposal is to fund a program to assess commercial needs as in the district. The program should identify, develop, and launch commercial revitalization programs in partnership with local stakeholders through proactive planning and target investments. The program should support a program to strengthen the revitalization to streets, small businesses, community-based organizations that support CB2 neighborhoods. Okay. Okay, I see this as a definite priority. Any comments about this? I see no hands raised. Okay. Hearing no comments that this should not be an item. Okay, we'll go further. We'll just have to sit down and identify the specific needs and how they will be addressed. And we'll do that next. Okay, next item. Community-based organizations in CB2 are facing funding and staffing issues during a time when the community needs them most. Okay. Our proposal is Community Fellows Program to support community-based organizations, complete commercial revitalization projects, and connect local stakeholders to city resources. It meets both the workforce development and commercial revitalization priorities of the committee. As far as I'm concerned, I agree with that. Okay, any comments or discussions from the committee? Okay, I don't see everyone at once, but hearing none, I can say we continue with this. Okay, so let's address that also. Okay, number 10, local small businesses are facing fiercer competition than ever. Consumers have become more accustomed to the convenience of shopping online and are less and less likely to shop locally due to factors of convenience and due to the continued risks associated with COVID-19. The result, we would like to see increased pride and likelihood of consumers to choose to shop locally and support their local businesses, which would in turn support the economic development of the district, which also supporting businesses building a stronger community. Our proposal continuation of the Love Your Local grant program, adding a competition element for artists to develop a marketing slogan and image for the program that would create a buy local, hire local campaign for the district. Okay, my comment on this one is currently right now, most of the bids do have such a program in existence already. The problem is how to get that out to the general public. Because if you're not shopping at the stores, you're not hearing about this. And if you're not on the mailing list, you're not receiving it. So how do we address that? Comments? Lindsay, this is your statement. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that? Are you still here, Lindsay?
Lindsay had to hop off, Bill. I think she had to step back into work and she's coming back in like 15. She just put it up in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to say is this. This is something that is being addressed currently by the different bids. Okay, because they actually do hand out pamphlets. The Downtown Brooklyn Partnership does this the best of all the districts, but then again, they have the most resources to do this. If we could help these individuals actually get this information out through a grant program, that would be useful. But then again, it would be how do we actually get the greatest impact for the actual contributions? Kate, do you have an idea about this?
I think what you're saying resonates, that the bids are working on these kind of marketing campaigns already, that they have the most kind of insight into how to get this out into the community. I think the piece that hits most with the work we're doing is the hire local, and the way we can kind of make sure that that marketing strategy and that the bids understand the importance of hiring people from within CB2 to do these jobs. And similar to the program above, where we're trying to kind of solve two issues at once, that this falls into that kind of category. We don't want people to just love your local and have that not transmit into jobs for the local community. So I think that's my only note, is if we're in good contact with the bids to come give us an update, that we can see what their existing marketing, strategy is and make sure it's including local hiring within that language.
Okay, I agree about the marketing, definitely. And hiring local, you get basically centers of influence also when you do that. Ms. Morales.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that because depending on the shopping district, so I'm going to use downtown Brooklyn, Fulton Street Mall, for example, part of yes, I understand how online businesses have impacted actual storefronts, but it's also the type of stores that are left in the community. So, if you walk down Fulton Street, closer to like Lafayette, there were a lot of stores like Mashoud and these great like clothing boutiques. And now we have a bunch of bars. Downtown Brooklyn, Fulton Street specifically, Fulton Mall, I've spoken to people. It used to be, again, the third most profitable shopping district in the United States. And it's turned into a ghost town, but it has a lot to do with the displacement of the small businesses there. There's really not much diversity as there used to be. So that then comes, in order to address that would mean landlords willing to work out better rents and to rent to different types of businesses. And I don't know how we can address that unless maybe the Downtown Brooklyn Partnership has some influence and can get involved in. I don't think there's a study that needs to be done for this specifically. It's kind of like you can compare it pre-Downtown Brooklyn Partnership, pre this development, and how Downtown Brooklyn and Fulton Mall was the third most profitable shopping districts. They come along, displace a bunch of small businesses and shops that the average person, working class person, would go to. And now it's a desert. So is there a way to, I guess I'm thinking about how do we influence and get these basically landlords to bring in, want to bring back small businesses. I just had to bring that up because I think it's more than just, online stores that have impacted them. That is
Ms. Morales, and Ms. Morales, I agree with you totally. I've watched this neighborhood change over the last couple of decades. It used to be a lot of Middle Eastern restaurants and stores. Now they're virtually all gone. I remember we had one street, Bridge Street, was virtually all fabric. Okay, I believe there's one fabric store left. Okay, I think there's a second one further closer to over down towards City Point, and that's about it. Okay, and after that, there's nothing left. Okay, so this district has changed. I've noticed also the businesses that tend to stay here, okay, are the ones that own their own buildings. Those businesses that do not own their own buildings or have been driven out because of higher rents. Okay, and I've noticed that also. So I think the rental issue is a problem. Raising of the rents have driven out profitable businesses and brought in businesses which are unsustainable. Okay, I think that's something that we should address, or at least bring it to the attention, okay, of individuals who own these buildings. Okay, Mr. Du, I see your hand raised. Is it still up, or have you raised it new?
I didn't realize I had raised my hand. But Bill, I always have something to say. I will bolster Maisha's comment and just add that the Land Use Committee for 10 years has been asking for the city planning to come in and study the impacts of the 2004 upzoning. Now, the land use is asking because of AMI and the fact that the community of color that used to occupy downtown Brooklyn is now gone. So that's another reason why your shops are suffering. The folks that used to shop there were forced out of downtown Brooklyn. So you actually don't have the well of people that used to shop at those small stores still available to shop at those small stores. I don't know how you deal with that particular issue if the folks that supported the businesses are no longer there. The other thing I would like to add is there's a new app, at least it's new when I tell people about it, called Next. It's a community app where the forum of folk that have recently moved here do a lot of communicating. They also take advertising. I have no idea how it works, but I'm just putting it out there. That might be a way to get some of those businesses connected with some of the new folk that are living in the district. But we're talking in circles because the folk that used to shop at those small businesses are no longer there.
I agree, and also the access to the internet also is also a problem. Is it something that can be used on a smartphone? Then maybe we can actually take a look at that also. But thank you for the items. Kate, Ms. Gilman.
I'll change my name back to Catherine on here. I think I edited it at some point over the summer. It reminds me of when we heard from Cinch Market and the kind of tech locally prioritized tech groups that are trying to really bolster our small business versus gut them and take over a lease that no one else can take over, and how much attention we have to pay, as community gatekeepers. I think what Maisha said is so true. And this idea that when we're in conversation with the bids and these groups that have larger scale influence on landlord incentives and things that we need to know how to work with, that we need to really take advantage of this moment where there's a lot of transition happening and where we're getting hopefully more than any other borough in terms of quicker recovery and people coming here instead. And I feel like the next bid conversation that we have is going to be so important to be able to really understand where their priorities are as they try to fill all this vacancy with ideally homegrown businesses and allotments for community kind of work and small business.
I agree with you, Catherine. As a matter of
Just
fact, sorry, Kate.
I just wanted to piggyback because everyone's making really helpful comments. And I remember last year, we had a presentation from a pro and a con perspective on the commercial rent control legislation. And I was curious because I think that really ties in with what we're talking. Okay, 1 second, baby. With what we're talking about here. And I just was curious if we knew where that was, or if something that we could do on this front is like, advocate for the bill that's already sort of in process.
As a matter of fact, Kate, excuse me, that is actually an issue that I do want to also address, because that is an underlying issue for most of the commercial vacancies.
Right. It seems like that's something we could, I don't know if it's a statement of district needs or if it's a letter or something else, but it feels like we should maybe circle back to that in this context.
I think that should be something that we can look at with the district statement of district needs right now. Okay. Also, one of the things I want to suggest is when Cinch came here, their idea was something that was fresh and new, and I have seen variations of that have exploded throughout this city and also other cities throughout the country. So that was an idea that was timely. However, I don't know if that's going to continue once COVID has been put under control. But I do believe that we should also take a look at other situations where we can actually allow small businesses to be able to have a space where they don't necessarily have to have a brick and mortar location, but may have an internet method in which to get their products out there. I don't want to say, well, Cinch had basically a way of saying this, and I think it might be something we can do, but I don't know where we will warehouse all the goods. But basically have an Amazon type platform for the small businesses to get their product out there. But I don't know if that's something that we can actually do. But I think that might be one of the solutions that we can address. But it's a major lift. Okay, so I think that's something that we should address. Committee, are you in favor of that? The current item 10? I'll put it to this way. Anyone opposed to it? Okay, we'll go forward with that. Amazon for local, that's correct. Okay, number 11. Community Board 2 applauds the early release program instigated by COVID-19. Okay, but there has been no effort to provide additional support to individuals who were the recipients of early release or efforts made to reduce unemployment and homelessness within this population. Our proposals provide funding for an employment program aimed at reducing recidivism. I don't know how we can address that. Anyone have any comments about that? I don't know if Lindsay's back yet. Mr. Scala.
Bill, I'm not sure that's, I could be wrong. I'm not sure that that's our committee's mission. It looks like it's transportation and public safety, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we would do in this case.
Yeah, I believe that's something that has to also be taken care of, but I have based on all the responses we had last year in regards to closing of Rikers. Okay, this is a subject matter that has pros and cons to it that I don't believe that the Economic Development and Employment Committee has a purview for. Okay, there's nothing that we can address as far as that's concerned. It doesn't affect us whatsoever as far as economic development. I understand the need for employment, but that does not necessarily address, okay, the release program itself. Comments? Mr. Do, you have any comments? Usually you do. Do?
I'm sorry, I wasn't on the right screen. You know, I'm actually doing work while I'm talking to you on the phone. So I actually wasn't paying strict attention, Mr. Flanoy, so I don't have any comment.
Understood, sir. Okay. So for right now, I don't believe this is something the committee should address. Does anyone feel that we should address it? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Are we complete here, Tia?
Yes, and I am pleased that you've actually landed on 8 very strong requests that are appropriate to this committee, because the goal for each committee was to produce 6. So I don't even think you need to go through the exercise of whittling this down. I think these could probably just be fleshed out.
Okay, so what I'm going to suggest is this. We take a look at these things. Okay, Catherine, myself, okay, Lindsay, and Ms. Peterson, but I don't see Ms. Peterson on the call right now. Okay, we'll take a look at this offline, and then what we'll do is we'll look at it accordingly. And then if we have time, we'll bring it back to the committee. Any other comments that we may have not had on this? For instance, the issue I believe that we haven't addressed on here, but I think should be addressed, is the commercial rents. Okay, I do not believe that's on here, but I think that's something that should be on here. Okay, is there anything else anyone else believes that we should have on here that we have not addressed or any discussion about?
I think, Bill, it's Catherine here, Gilman.
Okay.
I think something that I know Vice Chair Peterson would probably echo, just the reminder of how we get information into the community once we start lobbying for these particular priorities, and maybe Lindsay's comment about whether as a committee we want to think about having a kind of different game plan for advocating for these priorities with local council and people who are just new to office and don't know the district likely well enough at this point to make kind of a running start on some of these things. So just food for thought for you as chair and for the committee, that once we get this list squared away, if we want to kind of own that list in a way we haven't yet, or try that strategy of being more proactive with those priorities so that we can change some things, hopefully at the policy level, and then be able to just have our committees execute better kind of landlord positions and things like that in land use or wherever they apply.
Ms. Gilman, I totally agree. I believe the committee now, we're a little bit more, we're better focused, and because we're better focused and we, the last SDNR that we actually did, we actually learned a lot from that exercise. And I think now we can actually apply what we learned, okay, proactively, as we're doing this proactively also. So I believe that once we have our final 10, I believe, items that we're going to address, or 11 items that we're going to address, once we actually put it in front of the full board, perhaps we can also get the full board to support us and have a letter coming from the board itself, okay, addressing the items that we're suggesting to the appropriate entities, okay, and also the actual different, let's say, politicians, let's call it that. Okay, I think we do very well with that. Okay, with that, I'd like to end the discussion about this. If anyone else has anything else they want to bring up, by all means, please send it to the board office. Okay, now as far as next item on the agenda, which I believe is, hold on one second. Chairperson's report. As far as chairperson's report is concerned, currently right now, we're still discussing on whether or not we're going to be changing the date of this committee itself, as far as when we're going to be meeting. Until I have a definitive answer on that, I'm going to wait on reaching out to other organizations to actually start setting up discussions within our committee itself, okay, inviting people to actually give presentations. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. We may change, we may not change. Changing is to the benefit of having the items that are being voted on by committees to actually then be put out into, brought to the full board and also to executive committee so that actions can be taken much quicker than they have been in the past. In the past, because of the way committees have been scheduled, there has been a delay up to 45 days before the actual action the committee voted on can actually be enacted. And because of that, in some cases, the time frame has been a detriment to actually taking action with the appropriate city agency. So we're going to be looking to address that. As far as anything else, if there's anything else people want to address or think we should take a look at, by all means, please let me know so we can actually start making arrangements and setting up those appointments. Okay, other committee business. Is there any other committee business that would like to be brought up right now? Any other committee business?
There's one thing I'm thinking of, Bill, Catherine here.
I was waiting.
And also, just this is even a side note to that. I think Latrell, I'm not sure if you're on right now, but we were talking at the meetup that we all had for those who could make it a couple weeks back about ways to bring the committee into the community, especially, I mean, just depending on kind of how safe things feel with COVID. But this is for the general meetings, or maybe something, Bill, to bring into executive meeting. Is there an actionable way, you know, on a quarterly basis or something like this that we can make ourselves visible, physically visible, in a way that's relevant to something we're trying to achieve as a board, whether it's a cleanup or a park, you know, information kind of gathering or something like that. But I know Latrell and I had chatted a little bit about, especially post-pandemic, ideally, ways to really get have the community understand what the community board does, and kind of see the faces in the district, if that would help keep it going both ways informationally and have us understand what people need. So just food for thought.
Okay, I'm going to ask the committee members a question here about regards to that. I know for a fact that I tend to go to different businesses within my district, okay, or in my area, and ask them how they're doing. I ask a question, tell them I'm on the community board and what I actually do and what committees I'm on, and if they need any help along certain situations. I had a long conversation. I had a 2-hour conversation at the barbershop, okay, with different individuals who, when they discovered I was on the community board, were asking me various questions. One of the biggest issues they had was commercial rents, okay, and also regulations, okay, and we had a long discussion. I was captive, okay, and they were coming up to me on a continuous basis, one after another, questioning me. So if committee members are doing that, okay, you know, I am front facing, people do see me, I am putting myself out there, people know who I am, and when there are issues, they do come over to me and actually talk to me. I don't know if other committee members are doing that, but that's one way of actually reaching out. Yes, Mr. Scala.
Bill, would it be something for our committee to sort of have a community forum, as what Kate is saying, and invite stakeholders, like some of our council people who are involved in commercial rent committees and other committees to help the community, and have an actual forum sponsored by the committee where they could be there and have a discussion amongst themselves on these issues that are important to us, and have the community be invited to it. Not a meeting, not our committee meeting, but we sponsor some sort of an invitation to speak to maybe a few leaders in the community to speak to those issues and have the community hear their opinion. I mean, I'm sure they would be very interested in what is coming out. They hear it, hearsay, but to see it and hear it from someone who speaks about it, maybe that's something we can do. That's proactive, but it does invite the community and the those involved, especially the political people who make these laws and help. We could influence them that way. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but that's something I think could help.
Well, Mr. Scout, we actually tried to do something along those lines with the job fair, resource fair. And one of the biggest problems we had was working with, for instance, as a community board, it's hard for us to get space because simply the costs involved in it. We don't have the actual cost, the ability to actually pay for these sites. So we have to partner with someone else. Okay. The other issue, of course, is how we're all volunteers. Okay. So as volunteers, how do we actually manage and organize it? I think what might be a better method of addressing this is actually reaching out to the electeds all the electeds actually do meetings where they actually have a specific item that they're discussing. If we could show up at those meetings and bring the points that we have about our district to them, because what's going to happen is at those meetings, they're going to have people who are actually interested in that specific topic. So they're already going to do the advertising, they're already going to do the outreach, they're already going to have the space. All we have to do is show up there and give our opinion as of the committee, as not necessarily as the board, but as individuals, because we cannot actually represent the board. Okay, because we don't have that. But the only person who can speak for the board is the board, the board chairperson, Mr. Singletary. Okay, we can speak as individuals, but we cannot speak for the board. So if we want to reach out to these different areas and basically give opinions about what we believe is needed as individuals who live in the district, work in the district, whatever that may be, we can do that. But we cannot, I would not suggest trying to do it as a committee, because we've tried that and I've seen the difficulties in doing that. And as far as anything else is concerned, I think we should do the outreach by showing up ourselves. Teo, how do you feel about that? Because you are at the board office. Thumbs up. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate any reminder that you are volunteers, but I think it's equally important that you are appointed by elected officials, and you are appointed because of your active presence in your communities. You are the hubs and the voice in all of the nooks and crannies of the neighborhoods. So agree, thumbs up.
Can I
Thank you,
say
Sarah.
something? Hello?
Hi, Latrell. Yes, please.
I was going to follow up with what Kate was talking about. Me and Kate was talking about doing some type of community service, the community board to get together and we do, like she said, a cleanup, or like maybe go to a shelter and feed the homeless, just to give back to the community. And also the community can see us as a community board, but we could go as individuals. That, everybody may not have the availability to go, but what me and Kate was talking about was just like, giving back to the community. And that's what we was talking about, right, Kate? If I explained it correctly.
Yeah, Patrol, I think this idea that like you guys are saying, individually, everyone kind of should be on the streets and really having their ears down. And then there's this other piece of people understanding the board as a body, like who the board is, what they do. And I think even if it's, every couple months, if we have a voluntary kind of activity that relates to something important in the community, and people can come if they're comfortable, that it might be something to bring to the kind of general committee to see if we can have the board feel as outward action oriented as we are, you know, piping into all these things virtually and individually. If we as a larger group kind of show presence, and I think it'll continue to open up those conversations that can happen commercially in the spaces like you talked about, Bill, with people kind of coming up. So food for thought.
It's also
Bill.
a team building.
Yeah, Latrell, you actually have reached out to me numerous times about events that are going on and invited me to those events. I believe if I believe that the committee members as a whole, if they're seeing some sort of events that might be of interest to the committee, by all means, let the committee know about it. And then those members who are actually interested in doing it can actually go. Okay. And when you're there, you can say, yes, I'm on the community board. Okay. Not necessarily representing the community board, but letting people know that you are a member of the community board and the community board is interested in events that are going on throughout the district and the community. I think that would be helpful. Okay. And if by all means, as these things occur, by all means, let the committee board office know to let the committee members know. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay. If there's no other committee business, community forum. Any members who are from the community, if you have anything you want to discuss, by all means, let's hear it.
Bill, I did want to make one additional comment.
1 second, Mr. Du. I had a hand raised from the community. I'd like the community member to go first.
I'll wait.
Okay, Gabriel.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle. I'm a 20-year resident of this neighborhood, and I was actually a CB4 member before I lived here for 4 years, from 1998 to 2002. And I also owned a small business on Grand Avenue for about 5 years. But so I'm kind of excited. I can't believe I'd never been to a community board meeting in this community, but anyway, so I was actually friends with James E. Davis too, who was the, you know, those who know him knew him. But I wanted to come on just to say that I'm part of a program from the DOE, and we have a lot of job openings. So someone said I might want to come to you guys and let you know. We are funded through the DOE. We're called PS Family, my little tagline there at the bottom. We basically are the middle person between the DOE and in-home childcare providers and families that need childcare. So we're what we're called a family childcare network. So we help childcare providers with their businesses, and we help families find low cost and free childcare. And we are hiring, like everybody else, we're at 20 different positions. So I just figured I would put that out there. We don't have a permanent office yet. We just got a location on, why am I blanking on the name of the street? Okay. Not Skimmerhorn. What happened? Did I share my screen? How did that happen?
No, that's the office. You're on Dean Street now.
Oh, no, that's not okay. So that's not where we are now. I mean, that's where we are now. That's not our permanent office. Oh, thank you. I was like, oh my God, what happened? Oh, if you go to careers, there you go. You'll see all the jobs that we have. So there you go. And that's the website I designed. That's what I do. So there you go. There's my spiel. And if
Let
you
me
have
ask you
any,
a question.
sure.
Okay. You know, one of the things we like to do is give people a format to actually go into a little more detail about what they actually do. Okay. If you want to, could you send something to the board office so we can review it? And if it's something that we can work with, we might give you an opportunity to actually give a presentation to the full committee.
Awesome. I would love that. I know that the general meeting is next week, or no, did it happen on the 2nd? No, that's not you guys. You guys are Wednesday, right?
Well, yes. What you would do basically is you would address the committee. You do a presentation in front of the committee, not the board.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. I will send it to you then. Thank you.
Okay.
And actually
Thank you.
really enjoyed listening to you guys tonight. This was pretty awesome. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Du.
So, Mr. Flanoy, I just want to throw out an idea. at the end of this year, we will be losing both of our council members, Levin and Combo. Combo is particularly important because as majority leader, she had more money to distribute to her community. That's how the system works. I'm not going to try to explain that. However, there are two replacements, Crystal Hudson and Lincoln Wrestler, replacing Steve Levin, are available now to come in and talk in order to hit the ground running when they are official. So my idea is that you call both of those individuals and have them come to one of your meetings. And this way you can share all of the concerns that you have about the district directly with the folks who are going to be able to have some impact. I'm done.
Mr. Dew, I think that is an excellent recommendation. I will run it past Chair Singletary and see what he says about that, because he may also have an agenda to do the same thing. If I remember correctly, what committees, Mr. Wrestler was on what committee?
I don't recall what committee he was on. He wasn't on any of my committees.
But he did come out of CB2. So I think having him come back and refresh him on what our agendas are would be a good thing to do. So I would suggest maybe doing some outreach to him also.
And now it's good because they're going to get very busy. As you know, there is so much going on in this district. They're already inundated, and it's going to be difficult to get their attention. So the earlier you can get started and get them involved in what's important for you, the better it is going to be.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you very much, Mr. Dew. Okay, anything else, please? Ms. Morales, I see your hand up.
So it was going to be announced on the general community board meeting, but the date has been changed. And so Taya, I'll make sure our comms person will email you the event flyer, but I wanted to share with this group because someone special that used to be part of our committee is being honored. So Senator Brisport is honoring Samantha Johnson with the Women of Distinction Award for our district. And we are having sort of like it's a community empowerment fair on the 26th, September 26th, from 1 to 4 p.m. At Fort Greene Park, the Myrtle Avenue entrance. Do you guys know where the barbecue area is? That's where we'll be honoring Samantha, but also doing a community empowerment fair. So I just figured I'd share that because she was she a public member or an official member of our committee? I know she was very involved with us. And so I wanted to share that with you folks.
At least she was a public member.
A public member, but yeah. So just wanted to share that, and Taya will email you one of the flyers so that, you know, maybe you guys can email it to the rest of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. Okay, if there's no more comments from the public, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Scala, second. Okay, Ms. Gilman. Okay, all in favor? Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Happy New Year to those who are, celebrating, and hope to see you all soon next month, whenever it will be announced. Okay, the recording can end. Thank you.